Here's Bud Shaw with an opening comment.
Thanks, Les. Cleveland Browns running back Kareem Hunt was questioned outside a downtown bar Saturday night after some kind of a disagreement or incident inside the establishment. No police report was filed. The Browns say they've talked to Hunt and will have no further comment. So no harm, no foul, right? The media is just creating another controversy here, right? Well, not exactly. I mean, Hunt is the one in alcohol and anger management counseling. He shared that with the media earlier this year. And the Browns are the ones who have announced a zero-tolerance policy for Hunt. It was the Browns who tried to justify signing a player cut by Kansas City and facing a league suspension. The Chiefs worried about Hunt going back to his hometown, Cleveland, during the off-seasons when he played there. The incident that resulted in an 8-game suspension happened here. Now Hunt not only lives here, but also works here, if he does in fact get the opportunity after 8 weeks off for bad behavior and at least one recent night of bad judgment. I think we can say that much.
All right, I've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
About how this story breaks. So
Yes.
let's say it happened at, what time do we think it happened?
Don't know exactly.
2 o'clock in the morning?
Probably late night, yeah.
Probably 2 o'clock. The police, it gets reported to the police. Do they have John Dorsey's phone number in their wallets?
I'm sure there's a contact on the Cleveland Browns who's got a law enforcement association of some sort.
Right, so if
That's
something
usually-
happens, that's
somebody
what they call.
hears.
Can you
Somebody
just-
hears about it.
Can you just imagine John Dorsey at 3 in the morning when the phone rings and he has to put on his Cleveland Browns sweatshirt because he may have to leave the premises?
You don't think he...
Do you think they wait till, a civil time in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning, or is 3 o'clock? I mean,
I would think
my guess
maybe-
is 2 o'clock is for one event, 3 is another, 4 is something else.
I would think maybe in an incident like this, Les, that maybe they did wait till the next morning because there was no arrest, there was no
Right.
police report.
No police cam.
I'm not in any way suggesting that he's done anything wrong. It's just that given his history of things, I don't know. I mean, I go out a lot.
Yeah,
Used
but
to go out a lot as a young person too.
Yeah, but
I was
you
never
didn't-
questioned by the police.
And
so-
not only that, you were never under the situation where if you get caught doing something, your livelihood is done.
Yeah, and listen, I understand, and nobody stands in a bar or stood in a bar when I was 23 or 24 years old and said, "Oh, that's the guy over there who's the writer. Let's go talk to him, or let's go give him some grief about whatever we want to talk to him about." So, I mean, these guys are targets in some ways. Now,
well, they're not
we
a
don't
target
know-
if they're at home.
No, and we don't, and no, I don't think anyone expects a guy to, almost like house arrest, right? That he's supposed to stay in his house every night until he comes off suspension. I don't think anybody expects that.
Mike Masetta from Nature Stone said if he creates his own man cave and invites all his friends, he'll supply the Nature Stone. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Wow. Wow, that is a good offer.
Yeah, I don't know if he meant it, but it's part of our conversation.
So that's all. I don't know that it's a big deal, but this is the kind of thing when you take on a guy who's had issues and you've announced to everyone that there's a zero-tolerance policy, then you're sort of hanging out there on a branch the next time that something happens with the guy. What are you going to do?
We know what zero tolerance means, but was that something that is a zero-tolerance thing?
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was, and that's why we
Unless they're
haven't heard.
hiding something somewhere.
Yeah, unless something else happened there that we just don't know about. And
how do you feel how do you think the fans feel about it, rooting for this guy who obviously uses bad judgment?
well, I mean,
Or don't you care?
They should be used to it. I mean, this is exactly what they did with Josh Gordon.
Well, they're used to it and it didn't pan out.
Most of the fans that I know during that time would basically say, he's a great talent, and so he has some problems, but he hasn't hurt anybody, and let him get through this, and why cut him? So I think there's going to be that feeling. They're not as attached to Kareem Hunt because he's never played here.
And if he doesn't play here, if something happens and they dump him, doesn't cost them a penny.
No, and from a fan standpoint, I think they look at this team and they still see Nick-Chubb and so far,
It's another reason to keep Duke Johnson.
Duke Johnson.
It's
and
another
they see
reason
a
to
pretty
keep
good
him.
team, and they see a really good offensive team. So I don't think there'll be the same, shock value or fans being upset if they end up having to part ways with him, which I'm saying they're a long way from doing apparently. So this incident isn't leading them in that direction right now.
How many
but it's got to
knuckleheads-
give them some concern.
How many knuckleheads can you have on a team?
Well, you know,
There's a variety of knuckleheads, I
I mean,
suppose.
you could argue this whole second chance thing. I mean, John Dorsey's the guy who drafted
Right.
him,
In Kansas City.
Yeah, and there were issues when he was coming out of college that people knew about. I think that's one of the reasons why he went in the third round when he
All
went.
right, you know what I don't want? You know what I don't need to see?
What's that?
Some PR piece of Kareem Hunt at some school somewhere doing whatever they do.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a.
Doesn't
I
sound.
was going to say, you know, nobody should think of Dorsey as Father Flanagan, and then I started thinking nobody will get that reference, right?
No.
But it's that
Just like my Rocky Calavito.
Yeah, it's like the right guy. So, you know, it's not like when teams say, "Oh, we're going to help this young man get back and get his life together and all," and that's all we really care about. Well, we know that's not.
No,
not
you care
true.
about 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah, and this guy's a great talent. So, you know, I think they've swallowed some of their or trampled over some of their own principles when they signed him so quickly after the Chiefs let him go, and now we'll see whether it works out.